Om Akhandamandalakaram Vyaptam Yena Characharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Harihi Om. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramakrishna. Dear devotees and friends, welcome to the 82nd week of the readings and reflections from the book Holy Mother Sri Sarada Devi. This book was written by Revered Swami Gambhiranandji Maharaj. We are in the 23rd chapter. As usual, we shall read a few passages and then discuss some of the points that come out from it. So please turn to page 298. Radhu's disease, however, showed no sign of improvement. Rather, it worsened day by day. Sympathetic people were not wanting, each of whom had a remedy to prescribe. The mother politely listened to them all, and in all possible cases acted up to those suggestions, for she did not want to offend anybody if that could be helped. In the beginning of March 1919, Nalini Devi said, "Mind you, aunt, when Radhu's mother became mad, it was you who made her wear the bangle of the mad Kali of Tirol, and only then did she come round. I think Radhu also will fully recover if she wears the bangle. She also has got a touch of insanity. Otherwise, how could she be sleeping all the time like that? Though she is quite normal so far as food and such things are concerned." Accordingly, the mother sent someone to Tirol, 17 miles away, to bring the bangle after offering due worship to Kali there. As the bangle arrived at night, it was kept hanging on a tree, for it was not to touch the ground. Next morning, Radhu wore it, but there was no result, except that Radhu's mother became all the more quarrelsome and went on abusing Nalini Devi without rhyme or reason. After a few days, the mad aunt told the mother, "Why did you bring Radhu here from Calcutta? It would have been far better in Calcutta. Here it is hot, and Radhu would recover if ice could be applied." To pacify the aunt, the mother had ice brought from Vishnupur. As this was being applied to Radhu's head, Uncle Kali turned up and said, "Sister, what a pity that you consented to apply ice on the advice of that mad woman to an eccentric's head. God be thanked if the cold does not produce something worse. Sister, you don't understand. It's no disease at all, for otherwise the big doctors of Calcutta would not have failed. She is perhaps possessed by some god or ghost." At Sushnagiri, there is a Chandal who is an adept in the Tantrika cult. This Tantra there is a note here. Tantras are scriptures associated in popular belief with occult practices, which are supposed to bestow supernormal powers to their followers, the Tantrikas. So, why should we not get him to try his skill on her? The ice pack was then given up, and Uncle Kali was asked to bring the Tantrika adept. As the uncle and Varada reached the man's place, he scattered some mustard seeds over their bodies and declared solemnly, "Yes, I have understood it all. I have got the command. I shall have to go there in a day or two." As the Tantrika arrived the following afternoon, the mother saluted him with the greatest humility and described Radhu's condition with fearful eyes in a way as though the Tantrika alone could save her from the insurmountable difficulty in which she was placed. The man was satisfied on examination of the patient that it was a genuine case of supernatural influence. But the remedy that he prescribed was altogether beyond the competence of anyone to procure. The oil and liver of a rohita fish carp weighing more than 40 pounds were to be boiled in the oil extracted from black gingerly seeds by grinding them in a village oil press. And with these were to be cooked iron, various scented articles, the dung of a bull, and such other ingredients to be picked up from various inaccessible places. The resulting ointment had to be rubbed on Radhu's body, and she had to wear an amulet. The mother evinced the greatest interest at first, but when it became clear that it was a wholly absurd prescription, she became despondent and said, "There is no gainsaying that I am a reverential to all the deities and I am craving their favor, but none is kindly disposed. It's all be as it will be as the Lord wills, as it is written on Radhu's forehead by the fingers of destiny. Master, you are the only savior." This mood of absolute dependence on providence renders the mother extraordinarily attractive. On the advice of some well wishers, the mother also agreed to invoke the help of a chanda, a fierce spirit, through adequate rites. In an abandoned shed outside the ashrama, the chanda was duly summoned by charms, worship, and sacrifice. In the consequent seance, the spirit prescribed many queer medicines and gave directions for procuring an oil from the demonologist's house. Everything was done, but Radhu's ailment defied all these attempts at treatment. Out of a sense of duty and for the solace of all, the mother had many such things done. And yet, her faith in providence never wavered, and her detachment never flickered. One day, when somebody proposed that for Radhu's safe delivery, a certain doctor should be called in, she revealed her real mind by saying, "Aren't the bitches and vixens of the forest delivered of their litter?" So, let us do some reflections on what these passages have thrown today. As you heard the passages, very strange things when in the sitting in the 21st century and sitting in towns and cities, these things are mostly unheard of to many people. So when we read what has happened 100 years back in a society where the village life was predominant and how the village life took grasp of the people who were living there into their fold, it's something wonderful to study even as a history. One main thing that comes from today's passages is about tantrika's methods. Mother, as Swami Gambhirananji has recounted here, that out of a sense of duty and for the solace of all, the mother had many such things done. So, a sense of duty was there because she had accepted dependence on Radhu in order to keep her body and mind alive. Otherwise, if Radhu was not there, as we have seen many times in this life, she would have left her body long back. But she continued to do so on the specific instruction of her Lord Sri Ramakrishna, that to remain after he is passing away and do the spiritual ministration to thousands of people who are going to come. Now, this is the reason that mother was so intent upon continuing her life in body. But then, since she was staying with Radhu and taking care of Radhu, so she had to accept all the difficulties that Radhu was putting up in her life. To satisfy that instinct of protection to Radhu, and also to satisfy for the solace of the people around her, she had to accept all types of suggestions. You see, if many suggestions come out when somebody becomes ill. So Radhu was ill. Naturally, the villagers started coming. Her own relatives started coming. And from city, people also started coming to meet. As Gambiranji has said in the last week, we saw how city people used to find Koalpada as a beautiful place where mother was accessible so individually to everyone. She was easily accessible compared to her Calcutta days. So naturally, people came, and whoever came and heard from mother that Radhu is suffering like that and she's going to deliver a child, but she goes into some type of deliriums. So, what can be done? Naturally, mother will definitely discuss this point. So, whoever heard about Radhu's condition, and they started giving suggestions. This happens every time. Even in the among the monks also I have seen. Suppose in Birurmat you are in your room and you got some type of ailment, and all the swamis come to meet you. Oh, how are you? How are you? Etc. And each one before going, they'll give you some suggestion. Do this, do that. So the suggestion giving for the people is very normal. Why? Because I'm concerned about you. When I know that you are sick and you are suffering, naturally, I would like to tell you at least try this. So, how many things you will try just to please others? So, you must stand somewhere and say, no, I shall go by my doctor's advice only. I shall not go by any other methods. Recently, I heard one gentleman had to undergo lots of dialysis because his kidney was not functioning well. So doctor advised him dialysis. But then every week, 3 to 4 dialysis having means it's extraordinarily costly. And it will go for months together. Till your last breath, the dialysis must continue. Now, the people started advising. His son who was looking after him, he said, Sid, leave this dialysis. Go for Ayurveda. Go for this mantra. Go for this, that. Everyone know it advice. But then he stood upon his feet. He said, no, I shall obey only my allopathic doctor. So you come to a decision and you say that. But that is possible if you are in a city where the doctor is accessible. Suppose you are in a village where only the village doctor is available. What you will do? Can you be strict to your words? No. So the thing happens like that in Jairam, in Koalpada, in those days, inaccessible places. And there, what you can do? So whoever comes and gives advice, mother would accept. Okay, let us have. So the first advice that she got about Radhu's one from her mother only. Radhu's mother, that aunt, came to Holy Mother, and started shouting at her. Why did you bring her to Calcutta, from Calcutta? You could have kept her there. But all these people only told, Holy Mother, when she was in Calcutta with Radhu, that you must now go to Kualpada. Did they not say that Radhu cannot stand any type of sound, any type of, even the slightest sound will disturb her? So you must take her to village. That is what everybody advised. Now the lady is coming and telling her, why did you not keep her in Calcutta? At least good doctors are available. You could have shown her to that. Like that she is now telling, says that is the suggestion. But then for her satisfaction, you cannot take Radhu to Calcutta now because Radhu was not in a condition of transportable condition. So she cannot stay. Then another advice came. The second advice was, why don't you put ice? Keep ice blocks on her head or on her feet or hands or on her chest. Like that, keep ice blocks. So that may cure her. So where to get ice? Ice has to be purchased from Vishnupur. So all the way, mother sent somebody to Vishnupur and got the ice blocks. But then there is no permanent way of holding the ice blocks, for 2-3 days. If it comes today, then tomorrow the ice blocks will melt. It is very hot. So the ice blocks were brought and they were placed on Radhu. So once when it was placed like that, that also did not relieve Radhu from her suffering. So it was going on like that. So suddenly one day, mother's brother came. Kali, his name is Kali Prasanna, he came. So he started shouting at mother, "Ooh, that foolish lady, that madcap lady, she advised you to put ice, so you accepted." See, mother is at receiving end. Note it. Whoever comes and advising one after another, they are actually blaming Holy Mother. And he started blaming her. That madcap told you to put ice, so you put, this will be worse condition. Radhu will go into worse condition. You will not be able to manage afterwards. And you will be held responsible because you accepted the mad aunt's advice. Was it proper for you? Like that he started. Then she asked him, okay, brother, you are telling I have done wrong. Okay, now I will stop this ice treatment. Now tell me what else can be done. Naturally, he was very happy that mother is asking him to give a suggestion. So he said, my suggestion is to bring a tantrika and do her by the means of tantric procedures to remove her the possession. She is possessed by a ghost. So to remove the ghost from her possession, that is the way. She is not having any physical ailment. She is possessed by a ghost or by a small devata. They are called small devatas, mini devatas. So they are also there. So you must bring a tantrika. Now how terrible time for mother, you can understand. So she said, okay, bring tantrika. Then Kali went and brought one tantrika from an interior village, further interior village. These tantrikas are very famous in the villages because there are no doctors. So if you want healing from some physical problem or mental problem, you go to these tantrikas. So naturally, that was the system. So this she accepted, and the tantrika came. And tantrika, when Kali and his another man went, two people went, tantrika sprinkled sesame seeds on them. And then he found out that they have come for the right purpose or not. He tested them. And then he said, yes, my Ishta Devata, my Devi is telling me, okay, I can take up this case. So all this drama, the tantrikas do. And then he accepted. Then he was brought to Radhu. Now he examined the patient. Every doctor must first examine the patient. Then only he can say what is to be done. And he examined the patient. Radhu he examined. And then he started telling, yes, so certain things to be done. So you have to procure certain things and keep it. I will come on such and such a day and do a puja. So that is the way the tantrikas do that. So he prescribed certain things to be brought. And those things, if you hear, I will just go through again, just for the sake of fun. What are the things he wanted? The remedy, Swami Gambhiraji writes, he prescribed was altogether beyond the competence of anyone. Nobody can bring all those things that he wanted. What he wanted? He wanted rohita fish, a kind of fish. It's called Cyprinus rohita. That is a technical name. So the rohita fish, you have to bring the oil and liver of a rohita fish. It's cod liver oil, we say. The cod liver oil is also brought out from a fish. It's a fish oil only. It is used for many healing purposes. It is used. So, like that, he wanted a particular rohita fish. From that, liver and oil must be extracted. And then that fish, the particular fish that he is prescribing, must not be less than 40 pounds. Now you understand. So the oil and liver should be extracted from the fish, and it should not be less than 40 pounds. And then what to be done? And that oil and liver should be boiled in a particular oil. So it should not be boiled in water. Naturally, water and oil cannot mix, So it should be boiled in an oil only. So what type of oil necessary for that? It has to be boiled in the oil extracted from black gingerly seeds. Gingerly seeds oil also is edible. It's very much used in South India. So that for cooking, etc. So gingerly oil. So gingerly oil is not easily available in Bengal. But then he prescribed that. You must get that oil also. And in that you have to do that. And then these gingerly seeds should be ground in a village oil press, mind you. You cannot bring it straight away from Calcutta, a packed gingerly oil tin, 5-liter tin, 2-liter tin. You can't bring that. You have to grind these gingerly seeds in a village oil press. Now, so many things. And then it has to be cooked with various scented articles. So he gave a list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How many items are there? We do not know. Various scents. Some scents are extremely difficult to procure. It's very difficult to get. There is one scent called aguru. We use in the daily puja, etc., special puja, etc. We use that. How difficult to get aguru in Ireland, So I tell always when people go to Calcutta, I say, bring at least one bottle of aguru. So now, of course, we have got a stock of aguru. So in the puja time, we are not worried. I put only one. One aguru is enough for Holy Mother. It's enough, yes. But then this Tantrika, he gave a big list of scented articles. Now, those things have to be procured. And some of the scented articles are not available also. And then he says that the dung of a bull has to be brought, not a cow dung. So you have to go around searching for a bull nearby, and a healthy bull. And that bull's dung you have to wait and get the dung. And then such other ingredients to be picked up from some inaccessible places. So a bull is there in a village. You can go and get the dung easily. No. What the Tantrika would say, not there. The bull must be seated near a river bank. And there must be a tree. All those specifications we will say. So it becomes inaccessible. Where you will get a bull? Near the river bank and under a tree. So all these problems are there. So when you go to a bull, and the bull may not be there on that day you may not find it. So you'll have to wait till the bull comes. So all these problems are there. So when you find the mother, of course, initially, she put a great interest. And according to the tradition, when a Tantrika comes to your home as a healer, because he is going to heal none else other than Radhu. And Radhu is the binding cause for Holy Mother to keep her body and mind intact. To that Radhu, a person is coming to heal. How much respect she showed to that mantrika. You'll be stunned. That's why Gambhiranji quotes that. As the tantrika arrived, the mother saluted him with the greatest humility and with tearful eyes. She describes Radhu's condition. What a great respect she showed to some systems of certain procedures which have fallen in popularity. There was a time these tantrika procedures were very much eulogized, very much praised, very much followed by thousands and thousands of people. Why? How did this tantrika system got prominence? Just we shall reflect on that a little. The tantrika system, as they say, the word is tantra. So, what is the meaning of the word tantra? Many times we have discussed that tantra word is combination of two words. So, what are those two words? One is tan, another is tra, like the word mantra. How the mantra word was coined? Man plus tra. So, tan plus tra is tantra. This tra word stands for that crossover. You can take the person on the river from this side bank to another bank. So he crosses over the river. So in mantra, in manana, mananat, trayate iti mantra. So when you are doing manana, again and again you are doing repeating japa, and you are doing lots and lots of time, 10,000, 20,000 a day, you go and you are repeating the mantra constantly, then it becomes a method, a tool to take you cross over this ocean of samsara. So it has got the name mantra. Likewise, tantra also it is used in two terms, as an adjective, as a noun. You know, in English grammar, noun and adjective, you know the difference. So noun, when you use as a noun, the tantrika word, then it means a person who is practicing the tantrika methods in his life, or who is an adept in the tantrika methods, who has studied the tantrika scriptures and has become a pandit, has become an expert, a professor in that field of knowledge. He is called tantrika. If it is adjectives, then it means the methods itself are meant as tantrika methods. So this tantra also helps one to cross this bhava samsara. So there are many, many tools for going across the ocean of cycle of birth and death. There are many tools. There are many paths. So one of the path is this tantra also. There are the sutra of this tantra, the original from where the tantric practices hailed from. If you see, it is all hailed from one Veda, which is called Atharvana Veda. Atharva Veda. The Atharva Veda is part of the four Vedas classification. The great Vyasa, he created the categories. So Rig, Yajur, Sama, Atharva. This Atharva Veda contains lots and lots of mantras, chantable. You can chant them for bringing, for getting results of various kinds. To get healed from diseases is one such kind. To get success in your life, that is one kind. To get people to you who are all agreeable to you, that is one kind. Another is to remove that obstacles that are coming in attaining your desire. That is one kind. So, like that, there are several kinds of purposes are there. So, in order to get these purposes uh, obtained, the Atharva Veda contains there are certain chants. So these mantric chants are very powerful because they are part of the Vedas. Nothing wrong with the mantric chants. And then these mantric chants, when the Vedic religion slowly evolved into Brahmanas, Aranyakas, and then Upanishadic time came, and then Puranas came. So what happened? The stream of knowledge and bhakti, they became prominent in all over the Hindu society. So the other systems, which were also would be able, if you practice properly, would be able to cross over this samsara, those became little indistinguished in their prominence. So one such system was this Tantra system. Tantra system lost its prominence during this Bhakti movement. In Bhakti movement, this Tantra system went into recluse as it is. So it was practiced by very little people. But the original Tantra system, as outlined in Atharva Veda, if it has to be practiced, there were much more stricter conditions for practice. So the practitioners dwindled in number. You see, in the bhakti, you can be at any stage of your life. You can take the name of God. That is enough. Namaiva kevalam, namaiva kevalam. Only taking the name was enough. You don't need any other thing. So that type of easy method is not there for Tantra. If you want to be a tantric adept, you have to go through certain stricter disciplines in your life. And that was not easy. So higher classes, higher types of fields of study, you put more and more stricter requirements, then you will find less number of students there. That is very normal. Even today we find in the academic field, we see that unless you have a PhD on particular subject, you can't go into further study on this particular subject. Like that you say, how many would have PhDs? So naturally, the people who are going to that subject must have this requirement. If you say, then it will be very less. So the tantric adepts, what they did was, so that to keep up the tantric purity, they restricted lots and lots of restrictions they put. With the result, the practitioners' number started dwindling, and it became so much dwindled that there was no new practitioner available. Now, if a genuine, I have seen one or two tantrikas in my life who are absolutely genuine, who could do some miracles. We consider it a miracle because we don't know how the sciences work. They will bring certain mulikas, certain roots from certain herbal roots, and with that roots and with that mantra, they will empower the root to do certain actions, and it is done. Now you see that type of extremely rigorous pandits are getting dwindled. So as I said, naturally the pseudo scientists will come in their place. It is a very natural resulting phenomena. Wherever experts are coming down in numbers, pseudo scientists will come in every field of knowledge. So Tantra also started having more pseudo tantric practitioners, and they were not expert in that field. With the result, these tantric practices got into disuse. Only a few practices have been kept, and those few practices are now practiced. Even now, today, they are in practice. And those are all written down in a Bengali book in Tantra, because in the Bengal eastern side, the Tantra was flourishing once upon a time. So there are great Pandits came. So there are Tantra Tilaka, a book is there in Bengali, is written, but containing Sanskrit mantras, not Bengali mantras, Sanskrit mantras. So that book is the textbook for the modern people who want to learn Tantra. So they go for that. But then stricter restrictions are not there with you. So you cannot attain supremacy or the expertness in that particular field of knowledge. So what happened? So when pseudo tantrics filled the gap, they are bound to fail in many respects. And in order to make quick money, so they started adopting certain immoral, unethical means. With the result, the whole tantric system of healing the people has fell into ignominy. So people started their fearing, and they wanted to avoid these tantric practices. But in villages, etc., these tantric practices were prevalent. So if one or two good tantric practitioner is there, he can do certain good things also. But then there are no good original learned practitioner. So what happened? So these tantrics will come. They know that they cannot cure this patient. So they will give you prescription of such a prescription that you cannot procure. If you don't procure, and if you don't adopt the method that he is telling, for him nothing is lost. He would still claim with the ignorant people that, you see, I told these things, but they didn't follow. That's why the patient died. He is safe. So he is putting certain conditions. That is what we see here. This Tantrika could not cure Radhu. I think he understood that. So he might have adopted this method of asking mother to bring items which are inaccessible places to be brought. So mother could not bring all those things. So the Tantrika system failed here because it was not applied. If she had got all those things, perhaps she would have even tried in order to respect the Tantrika system as such. Because the system is coming from Vedic time. From the Atharva Veda it comes. There is a beautiful Odia book in Odisha. There's a magnum opus, as we call it, as the highest epic, was written, Ramayana and Mahabharata. The Mahabharata was written by one Sarala Das. So it is called Sarala Mahabharata. Not Saral Mahabharat, Sarala Mahabharat. This Sarala Mahabharat contains so many references to the tantric practices that were adapted or adopted during Mahabharata times. So I was reading a research scholar's paper on Sarala Das Mahabharata, because this Mahabharata is very famous in Odisha, in Odia language, and many Odia people read that. They keep it in their books list also, and then they read it every day or some important days. So that book contains several references. So this research scholar has taken down all those references, and he has put one or two references I tell you. So it says in Mahabharata, not written by Vyasa Mahabharata. I'm telling you about Sarala Das Mahabharata. So there he says that Dronacharya one day received 1,000 people as guests. How does Drona's wife will make arrangement for cooking? She had no means. You see, they were all poor Brahmins. So she doesn't have all those facilities also. So she simply told Dronacharya, don't worry, my lord, 1,000 people are coming today to have lunch. I shall arrange. Said, how are you going to arrange? Where are the means for us? She said, don't worry, I will use my tantric practice. She was adept in Tantra. So she sat down. She didn't go for cooking. She sat down and practiced the Tantra with those mantras, and 1,000 packets of food arrived. So, like that, there's Arjuna. Arjuna was adept in Tantrika. Krishna himself, being Bhagavan, he knows Tantras. All these Tantras are known to him. So, in Mahabharata written by Sarla Dasa, lots of references, because in eastern part, comprising Vanga, Bango, Ango. So, Ango, Bongo, Vanga, they used to say. These three nations in the eastern part, there was a time when Tantra practices were predominant. So, people knew. So, if you knew correctly, then there's nothing wrong in adapting it. Today, it may be unpopular because of the not good Pandit are not available. But then you cannot tell that particular Shastra, the particular Vidya itself should be discredited. No. So that is what Mother showed. From this anecdote, what we understand is ancient, though these sciences are, they are to be respected. They are not to be discredited. What if you do not know how to get? There was a violinist in South India when the whole of Tamil Nadu was suffering from famine. Famine means it was there was no rain, not famine. There was no rain for 2 years. And this violinist went over the top of a hill and he sat. He said, I am going to play a raga and rains must come, he said. Musicologist. And he is himself a musician. So he played continuously without having food, without having water, without having sleep. And clouds came and rains came. It is a science. How it happened, perhaps we may not be able to decipher. How this violin playing, this raga, can bring this. In northern India, there was a great musicologist like that. When he would sing a raga that will bring out the fire in a particular item that is kept in front of you. You don't need a stone and get the fire. No. Simply by singing a raga. So by singing a raga, you can bring down the rains. Blood pressure. For healing, I'm telling you, blood pressure. There is a raga called Ananda Bhairavi. If you hear Ananda Bhairavi raga being played, either an instrument or a vocal, your blood pressure will come down. This has been researched. So there are sciences which some are being researched now. There are sciences which have not been put under specific scientific methods of research. Because we have not done that, you cannot discredit that science. That is the significance of Gambhir Maharaj quoting this particular incident. That's what I feel. So, and then finally, and this Radhu's body and all these things were, then mother got tired. Holy Mother says, I am now done with all these things. There is no gainsaying that I am reverential to all the deities. Whoever deity you say, whether the Chanda or this deity, that deity, this goes, that goes. Yes, I'm reverential to them. But I am done with that. No more of that. Because whatever Radhu's destiny, let it happen. She has come to that understanding. And mother says, Master, you are the only savior. If at all she has to be saved, I will approach you only. And if you think she should be saved, you save her. So you are the savior. But I am not going to go and adopt any other methods now, even though villagers come and tell me one after another. I am not going to look into that. So she stood her feet there. And then she says, no. And you see, not only this, after that also, then one fellow came and he said, she is possessed by a spirit. So the spirit has to be thrown out from her body. So it is called Chanda. Chanda means fierce spirit. So the fierce spirit has come into her body, and it is sitting. So there are some charms, the articles, and worship, sacrifice, havan, etc. So if you do that, then the spirit will go away. then the demonologist, so he is called demonologist. You know how that term is used, you see, because he is dealing with the demons, and then he will throw away the demons. So these practices, it's very strange to read the history in Eastern India. These practices were absorbed by Buddhism when it came. Buddhism could not completely replace Vedic religion in India. So in the eastern parts, the Tantra was prominent, while the Vedic religion was somewhat gaining growth at that time. I'm telling about the 5th, 6th, 7th centuries. And at that time, the Buddhism, when went and entrusted itself in eastern parts of India, Buddhism absorbed these tantric practices. With the results, wherever Buddhism went, Buddhistic tantrism has gained prominence. So there are many Buddhist scholars who practice tantric Buddhism. So there is a division. So we know Mahayana, Hinayana, the two main divisions, we say that. But there are many, many sects within Buddhism, and one sect is called Tantric Buddhism. And this Tantric Buddhism also developed. This sorcerer, this taking out the spirit from one person's body and mind. Like that, there are so many incidents that are happening. Every day it is happening, even till today. If you go to village side, every day this is being conducted. Somebody or other will be said. There is one temple where sorcerers go and stay there. Like that, many temples are there. Not one temple. There are many temples where sorcerers are tied down in chains and they stay there. And the sorcerer comes and then he makes some mantras, which are a mumbo jumbo for the others. They are not even proper Sanskrit terms. Such words they use in these procedures, in the spirit procedure. So they drive the spirit away, they claim. So there are people who have become normal also after these procedures. That also we are seeing. So there are several types of sciences are there. Not that everything that we know of. It's not possible also for the limited mind to know everything. So there are many, many ways are there. So a sorcerer was called to take out the spirit from Radhu's body. And he also did. He prescribed many queer medicines. The medicines were also applied. Everything was done. So Gambhiranji finally says, but Radhu's ailment defied all the attempts at treatment. That is the beauty of mother's conviction of what was that conviction? If Radhu has to be cured, she will get cured. If that is her fate, let her have that fate, whatever happens to her. So mother was freed from the worry. What happens to us when a challenge comes to us? We start worrying about that. We start thinking about that. Oh, this may happen, that may happen. Nothing has happened to you, but you may think. You may get fear. Oh, this may happen, that may happen, etc. So that worry has been put an end to. Mother was now peaceful. She has got no problem now. Because she has come to that conclusion, whatever master wills, let his will be done. What a beautiful sentiment this is, you see. If every devotee can adopt this in his life, let master's will be done, how wonderful we will be freed from so much of anxieties, so much of sufferings. Because when the suffering comes, we know how to handle it. To handle a suffering, a challenge, you require calm and quiet mind, a strong mind. A strong mind can come only when you are convinced that His will be done, not my desire. Let me throw away my desire. Whatever God's will, let it be done. This is one of the advanced stage of bhakti. In this bhakti level, whatever may come upon you, you are not at all worried. See, the worry is gone. It doesn't mean that you will not take action to stop that challenge. If the challenge comes, yes, if you got cold, yes, you will take some medicines. No problem then. Because let it be go away. Let me not take any medicines. Let me have this cold itself. Then 10 days if you are cold, then you get pneumonia and you get corona. So one has to be careful. It doesn't mean that thy will be done, does not mean that you will not take any action. But what is missing here is the associated worries and anxieties while taking medicines. So that activities of associated worries and anxieties are now completely gone. Like a student who is studying for his examination. If people ask, if that boy, you are telling, oh Swamiji, that the student should not think of the result of his actions, why should he study then? If he knows that he will pass and he will get a good job, then he will study well. So the result must be kept before him. So the spiritual people says, no, you should not think of the result at all. Let him study only. Let him put his mind entirely study. Why it is said? It is not that because without studying he will pass, or because without studying he may fail also, and it doesn't matter. No, not that. Sense of meaning is given. In the spiritual instruction, do not pay attention to the result of your action. Does not mean you are inactive. You are quite active. You study well, but leave the result to the God. While studying well, what happens? When you leave the result to the God, the worries and anxieties from your mind is gone. So when there are no accompanying anxiety, your study becomes quite deep. And whatever you study is retained by the mind because mind is not distracted by the worries. What distracts your mind? Not the examination that is going to come. It's going to the fear of the examination. That is what worrying you. That worry is disturbing you. Now there is no worry, there is no anxiety. You are left to the Lord. The Lord's wish will be done. His will be done. So you are not worried. So you study now. When you study, the mind is free of anxieties, absorbs what you study well. See how beautifully this has been brought into. So the psychology says that yes, without any anxiety, if you put your mind on a particular subject, the subject is absorbed by the mind. Once it is absorbed, it remains in your brain. So when you go to the exam center, you write exam. It can be very easily, you can recollect, you can retrieve the information that has been stored in the mind disk. So that is how. So that is what mother did. And strangely, I should say, because in the background of all this application of the Tantra, etc., strangely, I should say that no problem was there during the delivery of Radhu. So Radhu delivered a child, there was no problem. Everything went off very well. And for these only, they have been all have been worried and anxiety. How much anxiety mother had to undergo. Till she came to the conclusion that, oh master, let thy will be done. And unexpectedly, I should say, that strangely, that everything was there. Her providence and her detachment both never flickered. That's what he says. But here, one statement mother gives in order to say that God's will be done, not man's will. So she gives a proverb, in Bengali, and that says, and Gambiranji quotes this. When somebody proposed that for Radhu's safe delivery, a particular certain doctor should be called. See, somebody, everybody is giving suggestion. So this is also one suggestion. Mother was tired of listening to these suggestions. Suddenly she blurted out a proverb. What the proverb says, aren't are not the bitches and vixens of the forest delivered of that litter? Which doctor is standing before a vixen or before a bitch? They are delivering their babies. Which doctor is standing there? Which tantric method they are using? This is a very strong statement. I am really stunned when I read the statement. How much mother has gone to express her displeasure in the suggestions of the people. And she says, in the nature, things are happening. Allow the nature to take its own course. Don't worry. Don't be anxious. This is what the teaching that we get from this wonderful statement of mother. Though she was very much disturbed on the day, and that's why they blurted out this statement. But this is very strong statement, I should say, that if the animals in the forest have got their safe delivery, why can't be humans? And why everybody is coming and telling me like this, like this? Because one astrologer told long back that Radhu will have difficulty in delivery. All people are coming and suggesting me. Stop these sessions. At that time she said this. What a great statement, mother said. So this is what we have to learn, that let mother's will be done. And we all pray on this occasion that yes, every day we are getting the news from all over the world, and some parts of the world like India and Malaysia also, and that we are getting the news that the corona is spreading its tentacles everywhere. So we have to be careful. Let us, from a deep distance from where we are staying, we have to only pray. That prayer may stand in the good stead of all the people who are suffering. Let their mind be strengthened. And then leave it to Master's will. What we can do from the distance, except praying. So let us pray. Om Kripam Guru Mahadevi Suteshu Pranateshu Cha Charanasrayadanena Kripamayi Namostute. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.